Here's the crack with this car. I want to fill you in on why I bought it. And anybody that loves fast cars, loves business growth, loves personal growth is going to take a lot of fucking value from this. So here's the deal. Number one, I bought it to fulfill a childhood dream. I loved playing with red Ferraris. I threw them down the stairs. I raced them with friends. I painted them. I built them. I collected posters. I watched Formula One. I was a huge fan of Michael Schumacher. It was a massive childhood dream come true. And that dream was realized in my early 30s. Secondly, I love the concept of forced evolution in business. So forced evolution is whenever you commit yourself to something that is a stretch, that is outside your comfort zone, that is something that you've never done before. And whenever you commit to it, you have no other option but to step into the identity, the behaviors, the habits, the thinking that is aligned with the result, the new identity that you're stepping into. And whenever I was going through a rapid season of growth in my business, way back in my early 30s, I was working with a therapist at the time. I talked about, look, I really want to buy this car. And I actually said, I don't know if I can afford it when I really could. And I came up with all these reasons to not buy it. And she said to me, what kind of man drives a car like that? And that was the thing for me that allowed me to step into a higher version of myself and to see that man driving that car and all the associated business success, personal growth success, and ultimately taste and character that I wanted to start growing into. So a big lesson for entrepreneurs is that, if you think about all the stuff that you actually enjoy in life and how much you hold yourself back from going in and enjoying it, you're actually leaving a lot of performance on the table. Because if you look at something that you really, really want, that you know is going to make you feel better, that you know you're going to enjoy, that you know is going to bring you precious experiences and memories, and every time that you step into it, it's a reminder of the person that you've committed to becoming, aligned with a certain period of time and goals and visions that you want to hit, it just really amps up performance. And, whenever I got the car, like my whole state changed. And I'm not here to say that, buying a car is going to make you happy, but there is an element of thrill and excitement that comes with buying shit that you like, stuff that you enjoy. And this car just so happened to be a piece that I really enjoyed. And I could easily have afforded it. Two, I just really wanted it and I just committed to it. So this is a message to all of you that are thinking about buying something and holding yourself back because you don't feel worthy of it. You think it's an unnecessary expense. Here's the deal. This leads me to the next point. You don't want to be the richest man or woman in the graveyard. There's a really good book called Die with Zero. If you look at all the energy, risk, hassle, effort that you put into your business, making money, doing stuff that other people won't, what are you doing it for? If you look at all the money in your bank account that you're accumulating and hoarding, imagine if you died with all of that there. How much unspent experiences, money, joy would you have left behind? And I just think it's a beautiful concept to live by, whereby you actually enjoy your money. And I'm really, really open about it. I love my experiences. I love my food. I love my cars. I love my shooting. I love my clothes. I love all of that stuff. And I'm not afraid to spend money on the things that I enjoy because I know by spending it, it gives me a reason to work harder. It also puts the brakes on business, 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 and it allows me to be still and present. When I'm in this car and I'm driving and I'm listening to tunes that I love, I'm present. And that's when I get to be deeply reflective. It's when I get to create. Your most creative, inspired ideas come from when you're rested versus being a super stressed, uptight, hardworking entrepreneur all the time. There is a balance and you've got to reward yourself. So don't be the richest man or woman in the graveyard. Number 4, linking back to that other point, was what kind of man drives this car? And for me, it was like a thriving, successful entrepreneur. The doors that this has opened for me in terms of business have been incredible. I have paid for this car tenfold with the relationships that I've created, the investment deals that have come off the back of the relationships, never mind the experiences and other friendships and relationships that I've got from the people that I hang about with who drive these cars. So we go on road trips, we network, we interact. It's all like-minded people that talk about business, personal growth, what they're doing for their family, their legacy, their purpose in the world, their meaning. The conversation is remarkable. And this gives you access to a room of people that are taking their life to the edge, are doing meaningful and purposeful things. And of course, you're not going to get along with everyone, but there are very interesting people in those rooms that are making big, big moves. And the friendships that I've created from this have been life-changing. And they've allowed me to create a new peer group versus, going through those stages of being an entrepreneur and saying, hey, my friends don't align with me. They don't align with you because they've got nothing in common. So when you've got nothing in common with them, you have to go and find people that have something in common. And people that are hardworking, that enjoy life, like spending money on certain things. And you can get into those groups, into those rooms, and make incredible business opportunities, friendships, and relationships that, well, make you happy and excited. So car has paid for itself tenfold, and it's been a huge win-win. Yeah. I have a golden rule when it comes to buying cars like that, because yes, they are liabilities. Yes, you can lose money on them. But the reality is, if you enjoy it, you got to think of the ROI on the enjoyment. Sometimes that is more than the depreciation of the car. But I have a general rule when it comes to buying stuff like this. I like to buy assets that yield at least 10K per month in order to be able to account for that. So I'm never using my own money to buy it. I'm using the money off an asset. Now that requires you to have a business that is making a lot of profit and a lot of cash. So you actually have to sacrifice stuff like this in your early years until you get your business to a point where it's making enough profit that you can then invest that into assets. And not a lot of people know this, but whenever I was in the thick of growing and scaling my business, I literally sold my car so I didn't have the distraction to go driving, go out on dates, go out to things that were essentially going to pull me away from business. And not a lot of people realize the sacrifices that had to be put in place to be able to do that. I sold my car, removed distractions, and put all my energy and focus into growing my business. And I did that for, heck, like 3 years. I actually even did it to the point where my no claims bonus actually came off my car insurance. And when I went back to go and put it on the newest car that I got at the time, when I went to recommit to driving again, my insurance was through the roof until I got sorted out by a good friend who managed to protect the no claims. But you can't start fucking around with expenses like this unless you can afford them. You never want to put yourself at danger or at risk from growing your business by sacrificing capital that you could be used for advertising, team hires, and all that kind of stuff in order to buy stuff like this. Because here's the thing, the fastest ROI in your life is going to be your area of expertise. And if you're an entrepreneur watching this, it's going to be your business. You can put $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in a month to a new hire, to advertising that can yield tens of thousands in return, rather than compromising it on a car like that you haven't earned permission to actually drive. And when I say earn permission, you got to earn the right to drive that. You got to have 1, surplus cash. You got to have 2, a decent cash reserve. And number 3, you got to have assets that pay for it. And that's all part of your wealth building plan. But there comes a point where you've got to take stock of everything that you have, get clear on your numbers, and you've got to be super clear on what money you have to live, what money you have to invest, what money you have to fuck around with. And I call it play money. And receivables, what's also going to be coming into your business over the next year, what risks that you have, and how do you account for those, what new payments might you have. You got to have a very clear picture of your finances, and that requires you to really have a good quality accountant or somebody inside your business giving you a clear snapshot of your financials, whether it's a piece of software, a CFO. Heck, if you're under 5 mil a year, somebody that knows me, if you're under 5 mil a year, you probably don't need a CFO. You just need good quality software, good accounting, and the ability to pick up a phone and go, where am I at? Track your net wealth, track the numbers that you're making every month religiously. Look at your P&L like a blood test. It gives you a snapshot in time of what's going on in your business. And that is why I'm so bullish on coaching businesses, because they are low overhead, fast cash, ultra lean, ultra profitable, and they allow you to have a fuck ton of flexibility and fun and be able to buy stuff like this. But don't buy something like this until you've earned permission. People say a car like this is a depreciating asset. Well, I say to those guys, you haven't driven an SF90 before. Here's the truth. Yes, that is going to depreciate in value, but I've got to weigh up the ROI in fun, excitement, enjoyment, relationships, access to rooms and conversations with people that are into that kind of stuff. And I've got to weigh that up against the depreciation. And nobody really thinks like that. So while that may depreciate 6 figures in the time frame that I have it, the ROI on the other stuff that I can use in my business, use for investments, use for relationship building, use to grow my identity, and all the primary, secondary, and tertiary effects of all those actions way surpasses that. And a word of warning when it comes to cars like this: you can't buy stuff like this unless you also factor in the fact that every now and again you're going to drop a toy like this. You're going to scrape it, you're going to ding an alloy. These are carbon alloys, they're 10 grand a pop. You can't just scrape it, you have to replace it. So there's huge risk that comes with this stuff. And in business and investments, you're always weighing up upside, downside. And I factored all that in. And you can imagine the kind of buffer that you need to have to be able to accommodate something like that. You never put yourself at risk financially buying something like this if you can't afford to keep it, run it, fix it, you name it. And this is my first Ferrari. Like, this was a pretty bold move for a first Ferrari. 1,000 brake horsepower, pure fucking power. I was looking at an F8 and went into the showroom and saw the SF90, test drove both, and the F8 was like a toy compared to this. This is a big step for a first Ferrari. I'm going to keep this car. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's got a lot of sentimental value. The spec of this car is highly dialed into what I like. It's Rosa Magma, beautiful triple metallic, carbon fiber wheels, carbon accents. It just looks stealthy as fuck. And I love driving it. I go out, clear my head in it. I have a little Saturday routine whenever the roads are decent and there's not salt on them with all the frost and snow in Ireland. And I use it as a head clearing exercise. There's nothing I love more than taking this into the town, going in, getting clothes, or even getting food or wine for a party that night and having the first part of my morning, you know, just enjoying my music in my car. And it just allows me to be present and escape the world. And yeah, I made this a very clear vision at a point in my life. So when you're in this car, everybody looks at you. You've got people at the side of the road looking at you. You've got other drivers looking at you. You've got passengers inside other cars looking at you. And you've also got to watch the road. So it's quite hard to drive if you've never driven one before. And when you take this out, for example, into the town on a weekend, you've got to be really careful where you park it. It's kind of like, imagine going out with a really hot chick and everybody's looking at her, everybody's trying to chat her up. It's like that with this car. And the reality is that can get annoying after a while. When you're trying to actually relax and enjoy an evening, and you've got people crawling all over your car, taking photographs, putting their hands on it, somebody sits on it with a pair of jeans and scrapes it, you've got to factor all this stuff in. And you know, the best thing about it is to take it a hoof around the town and then park it somewhere private where nobody can see it. That's the secret to, well, socializing with cars like this. So keep in mind that it does attract a lot of attention. And, you know, I'm using this to, well, talk to entrepreneurs that want to be able to buy stuff like this and build a business that makes their dreams come true. Make profit, have status, have freedom. I had a lot of resistance when it came to sharing this. I actually didn't talk about it for quite a while because I didn't want people knowing that I was driving a Ferrari, because I didn't want the attention and the distraction. And that's something very important to keep in mind too, is that this will have people talking about you, and you've got to weigh up whether or not you want that in your life or you don't. And I've decided to use this very strategically in this YouTube video to capture attention, not flex, but to install principles, lessons, and thinking frameworks before you buy something like this. If you find this video useful, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because it's dedicated for high-performing entrepreneurs that want to live life on their own terms, and they want to build a business that gives them status, profit, and freedom so that they can live life on their own terms. That's exactly what this channel is built for. Lifestyle entrepreneurs that want to build their empire. Make sure you check out this next video and click subscribe to stay up to date with all the notifications of new stuff that I pump out, which is every single week. See you in the next video.